30 AD, 39:24 AM. If the Gospel and apocryphal story was recorded accurately, then in this year King Herod imprisoned John the Baptist and beheaded him at the whim of his daughter, who was prompted to ask for John's head by her mother. Later, before several witnesses, this same girl was skating on the surface of a frozen lake when she plunged suddenly through the thin ice and was decapitated. Her head remained on the ice as her body floated off below the icy surface. The man history has passed on to us as Jesus was not from Judea. He was not a Jew, but even after almost 20 centuries he still remains a total mystery. Jesus was Galilean, Galilee becoming one of the most important places of early Christianity. Galilee did not border Judea, and nor was it made of Judean people. Galilee was a metropolitan region densely populated by many different ethnic backgrounds, situated on a major trade route. It was a region of strong Hellenistic influence, and the major language was not Aramaic or Hebrew but Greek. After his baptism, Jesus went straight back to Galilee, quote, preaching the gospel of the kingdom of God and saying, "The time is fulfilled," unquote. What time he referred to is unknown. However, it is fascinating that this year was exactly 1440 years, a major golden proportion number, after 1411 BC, when the Israelites conquered King Og of Bashan and Sihon of the Amorites for possession of the lands that would later be called Lower Syria, where Galilee and Samaria were located. This was also the year 960 of the divided kingdom, when Israel seceded from Judah and became the northern kingdom of Samaria in 931 BC. This year of Jesus' first year of ministry began a 40-year countdown to the total destruction of Jerusalem and Judea and the temple by the Romans at the end of the Jewish war in 70 AD. It is held that Jesus fulfilled the prophecy in Isaiah, quote, "In Galilee of the nations, the people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them hath the light shined," unquote. The Jewish animosity against Jesus was ethnic. The inception of Christ's ministry offended the Jews, for Jesus taught and revealed only ancient Israelite articles of faith, quoting Israelite prophecies, and nothing of Jewish context was mentioned by Jesus unless uttered in condemnation. The Jews had become so separated from their earlier Israelite pedigree that they completely alienated their own kin in Galilee. In their defense, the Jews focused not on Jesus' teachings, but on where he was from, Galilee, saying proudly, quote, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth? For out of Galilee ariseth no prophet," unquote. The Jews of that day and hence have practiced a tainted religion they had brought out of Babylon, an admixture of Hebraism and a new system of beliefs called Talmudicism, never before known in Israel or Judah. Jesus chose his disciples from Galilee, with only Judas being a Jew. The Jews considered the Galileans to be Gentiles. This rift was not only in culture, character, and geography, but genetic as well. The Galileans were formerly ancient Israelites in wandering after the Assyrians deported them in 745 BC and 721 BC. They have been Cimmerians of Samaria, Kimri, Gimri, Gimri, Galutha, Gauls. In fact, geographically, Galilee was the same land allotted to the 10 tribes of Israel, occupied, along with Samaria, before their deportations. Because of the Greek migrations from the days of Alexander 3 centuries or more earlier, and the building of the Decapolis, 10 cities, Galilee was thoroughly Greek, with a dense population of Samaritans and Syrians. Judaism was strong too, because the region had been forced by point of death over a century earlier to convert to Judaism. The forced conversion was a way to enrich the Jewish temple treasury. As the Jews by this time were an admixture of Judahites, Babylonians, and Edomites, they appeared racially different from Jesus. The ancient Israelites were a very fair-featured people, with red hair being very prominent. Epiphanius Monachus wrote that Jesus was 6 feet tall, his hair long and golden-coloured, with skin ruddy in complexion. Even as late as the Renaissance era, the masterpieces depicting Jesus depicted him and his mother Mary with red hair. The ancient Judahites shared the same features, but not the darker-featured Jews 6 centuries later. Galilee was called Gaulantius by the Romans, who knew that Galilee was settled by the Gauls. As any reader of the BC portion of this Chronicon has seen, the Gauls were the direct descendants of Israelites in wandering. Even their neighbours, the Samaritans, by their own account, were the descendants of an admixture of people descended from the 10 tribes of Israel formerly deported. The Jewish historian Flavius Josephus, writing over 50 years later, may have mentioned Jesus in his monumental work, writing that an unnamed Samaritan leader was killed by Pontius Pilate, and that the Roman was sent to Rome to answer for his crime before Tiberius. As a Galilean, Jesus could easily have also been referred to as a Samaritan. The first proponents of Christianity in the form we recognise today were Galileans, and their first followers were Samaritans and some Jews. The whole Galilean movement was founded by Syrians, for this region was Lower Syria. Grant Allen in 1897 AD wrote in his Evolution of the Idea of God, quote, "Whatever else may be said of Christianity, it is at least fairly agreed on either side, both by friends and foes, that this great religion took its rise around the personality of a certain particular Galilean teacher by name Jesus." Unquote. 1 Matthew, 2 the Gospel Truth, 3 Mark, 4 Isaiah, 5 John, 7 the Evolution of the Idea of God, 8 the Dragon Legacy, 9 the Bible Fraud, 10 the Christ Conspiracy, 11 Jesus, God, Man or Myth,